All right, so we'll call this meeting to order. First on the docket is approval of the minutes of March 12th. Do I have a motion, or March 18th?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 12th, 2025.
We have March
I
18th
think
on
March 18th.
Was 18th? How was it?
I'm just reading.
Wait a minute,
That's not, yeah, that's not.
one of these dates is wrong here.
I think it is the 12th. Because the 17th was a Monday, that was, the correction.
12th and the 19th are Wednesdays.
Yeah, it was the
Twice?
12th. It was
I'll
the
stand by the 12th.
12th.
With the correction of date of 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct, right? And that's kind of important.
Sometimes I like to know where I was on that date.
I'll second Jeff's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? All right, minutes passed. Okay, recognition of guests. I happen to see a couple faces here. So, welcome.
Thank you.
I'll have you introduce your name, I'm sorry.
Sure, I'm Bob Murphy, I'm the chairman of the commission here in town.
Okay, and
Brandon Nichols, I'm the vice president for all Saybrook Little League.
Little League, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Nicholas.
Okay, let me see if there's any, I'm sorry, our director is missing, so I have to play a role here, any communications here. Okay, that's for Bob, so Bob, I'll have you speak on that in a moment. Any other,
Yeah, I don't think Rich said anything else about correspondence.
so we can skip over that, review of the bills. Do we have any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't know
that's
that we
why.
can really talk much about it because. We can't answer any questions. There's only a couple of really big, I mean, one's for. And one's for the strategic plan, which we're all happy about that.
Yeah. Yay. All right, any other questions or on the bill? None?
Nope.
We'll go to public comments.
We'll see if
Anybody
Mr.
up there?
Walker Does anything to say?
No, I have Bob on the docket and I have, I think we have Little League on the docket, don't we?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. Under new business, I'll put you in under new business under D. All right. All right, so then we'll move on to new business. Under the Rotary Club, what I would like to do is have a subcommittee, volunteers of our commission here, to go around to our parks and look at a place that we could put the peace pole. So who here on this commission, now that we're down to 4, would like to look at our parks? I think a few that we were looking at was Clark Community Park. And a few. Jane raised her hand. Would someone
Yeah,
like
I'd
to
be
work
happy
with
to-
Jane?
To team up with somebody and drive around.
I'll team up with you, Jane.
Okay, Nancy, we'll be on.
Oh,
after
Jane
the-
and
After the
Nancy.
15th.
After the
Can't really
15th.
put it in
After the
park.
15th. That sounds
Or in the
great.
dog park, so don't put it in the forward.
So
Probably
at
in
the
Clark.
next meeting,
Huh?
we will
I would
connect
in
and
Clark
maybe drive around together and
before next week.
for this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even already existing park. Yes.
We can always put one there later too.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, we can do one more centrally located to.
Yeah.
Downtown,
one,
right, downtown Main Street area.
we'll figure something out. Now, come up with a
We're kind of the one spot.
photo or
The high
something.
school's the
Yeah,
one high school.
Yeah.
yeah, the high
Take a
school is
couple
separate. That's
pictures.
not us.
Yeah, take a couple pictures of a couple different areas.
All right,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll
okay,
report back, we won't make a decision on that.
Right.
all right. That's great. Thank you very much for volunteering. I appreciate that. And now we come to our, well, my favorite subject. And that would be a kayak rack. Excuse me.
Well, thanks for letting me come here, but I'll tell you the history behind it. Probably about 3 weeks ago or so, I got a call from Mark Calduella, who's associated with Twin Bridges South Yard. He works there, I'm not exactly sure. In any event, they had a series of, you want to call them racks, that they wanted to donate to the Harbor Commission. They were originally used for mass storage in 2 separate pieces. If you have this presentation here, there's some really crappy pictures on the end that I took. That's the best I could do through
These
the
are
week.
yours?
Yes, that's it. So you can see what we're talking about. Anyway,
It's just Google Earth.
on the backside.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay,
Backside.
I'm looking, I'm like, this.
And I think you might have a different version, because I asked Jennifer to print some stuff out, so it might not be that. It's this picture, anyway.
Yeah.
It's got 1 page with 3 different photos.
And our favorite Phragmites in between them. Yep.
They're, they may need to be modified for kayak use. Second we saw them, we thought, yeah, that would be a good use. For these. They're certainly heavy duty, they're gonna last a long time. Might be the only thing left in a hurricane, depending on what they are. So we accepted the offer. And talked to Public Works. Public Works went down there, I think, at the end of last week. And actually relocated them to the town garage where they could sit for some reasonable period of time. Specific on that. But I think it would take someone, a little bit of time to figure out where they go, how to manage them, et cetera, et cetera. Harbor Commission doesn't have their own retail facilities. May or may not know that we have a kayak facility or storage place down in Sheffield Street. It's kind of, I'll call it an ancillary business for us. It just happened that we got extra space, and instead of putting the long ditties in there, we segregated different areas of the kayaks. It's been, I think we had either 12 or 16 slots. We have a waiting list. But it's been popular. I forget what we charge, $2 a year or $75 a year. Yes, specifics. So I come and talk to you guys about kayaks about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a while ago. In the meantime, we had instituted that. So the natural reaction for me was secure the racks, get them on town property, then we'll figure out who can use them, where they can go. Now, I didn't want to have zero idea of where they could go before I suggested we use them. So I went down to Founders Park, I took some pictures and did some sightings, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
These are just my ideas, not binding. Just say, this is a potential location of this.
Are you a kayaker? Like, are you a big kayaker?
I have, yeah, well, big kayaker, no. Recreational, twice a year, 3 times a year, yes.
I know we spoke before, and that was one of my areas, I thought, years ago when I went to your meeting.
Yeah, it's an obvious place, whether it works or not, I don't know the ins and outs. But there seems to be 3 different areas that I spotted that seem to be high enough above the jurisdiction line, which is. Some sort of. Above, we have no jurisdiction. So. The areas I sort of look to be high enough, certainly the area by Walker Street. It's clearly high enough at the toe of the slope of the Founders Park at the second is high enough. And there might even be an area down the railroad.
Tell me what?
Railroad grade. This
Okay.
this long stretch of land used to be a railroad.
Yeah, you have to walk your kayak down there to put it on that rack, and you have to trek through to get the kayak.
Here, this one is better.
Right, this one,
This
yeah.
one,
This one, this doesn't get flooded, this wall.
Yeah.
Yep. This would be the safest part, because this is empty bucket, okay, so
Yeah.
let be in here, and then that's up to the person. Around the back. But
Do
that's
you
the
think
least-
these are big enough for their paddle boards? I mean, those are really huge.
I think so.
They're about the same size.
So who could have,
They're thinner.
it could be a rack for paddle board.
They're
they
longer,
use.
they longer than kayak, no?
Kayaks will range anywhere from
Yeah,
10 feet 6 inches at the small end up to 16, 18 feet. Paddleboards
Yeah.
are usually in the 10 to 12 foot range.
so are you proposing to donate them to us and then we maintain them, we take care of them, we're responsible for them?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you guys are the natural, organization,
I thought you were the natural order.
not.
Well, thank you for commandeering them, because that would be the number one thing, which,
Yeah, so they've been commandeered, they've been.
They're on
there.
garage.
How come it-
Awesome.
There doesn't seem to be a rush to get them out of there. As a matter of fact, Public Works said, you guys don't want it. We'll take it.
Sure.
To do what? Who knows?
Yeah. Stack
So,
there.
because they're very well built there.
Yeah.
Again, there might be some modifications that have to be made somewhere that I don't. Let's put it out. Sure, Public Works can do that. Seems more than willing.
You know about how many you can fit on these racks? Or-
That's a good question. You know what? I'm thinking between 12 and 16.
Really?
Maybe I'm off on that, but it's in that general range.
They look to be about 16 feet long.
Well, I think they're 2/8, I think they're either 2/8 or 2 10-footers, so you can separate them into two different.
But it's
Looks like
easily
there's only one
movable,
metal bar.
you take these away, but.
And
You
look,
think
There
you
there
or you
appears to be multiple.
The.
Yes, there's two
Yeah, they are.
by memory anyway.
Yeah, why would
They
we-
go, because they go through and they cut this back.
Other fragments.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
there's a
that's
ton of
right.
work That goes a couple times a year down here, that's why we need right a little bit,
Well,
because.
they can just move them, put it down. move
yeah,
it
are
back.
these movable, or they're so heavy that once you place them, you don't want to move them again?
Yeah, you're not gonna get,
So we
once you
have to
place them,
see.
they might need a little bit of foundation work,
Um,
maybe some gravel or something, I would say concrete or something. They're heavy.
You'd say, you excavate, put down weed barrier to keep the fragment from growing back up, put some gravel on it. Then it'll stay.
And that is-
They're definitely heavy. They look to be solid steel construction.
Yeah, no, they're well built, they will last.
Just stay out there all year round.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what they have down here.
Oh, yeah, they've been. Well, we have at Sheffield Series a little bit different. We have aluminum racks that we don't. These are. completely different construction.
Yours stay on there all year.
Yeah.
And that's on like a dock or a platformy kind of thing. It's not on, is it on like sand or
It's on land,
it's on land?
it's on
Okay,
crushed stone. The
Okay,
whole area is crushed stone.
okay.
And again, they're just one section of a much larger dinghy rack system. People store their dinghies on, and then they go out to their boats.
What about like those little inputs near North Pole? Don't we have a few places that you can access water? Like, I think there's a place on South Cove and Finwood where you can. I'm just trying to think like where people want.
Well, the
There's no
clothesline
parking.
doesn't have parking,
Get to
and the
front.
parking going around North Cove historic area, that's just a boat ramp and one bench, and it holds like 6 cars. So that wouldn't be a good area. I was thinking of that area for a rack, because with the paddle boats, that's a nice, easy area to,
So for this area by Coulter Street, people are gonna park up at the little, at Founder's Park? Or,
well, someone could, there's parking area right
oh,
here.
right, that's right, yeah.
Right
That
here.
might be a better
Couple of-
spot.
And then,
Yeah.
the gravel road right here.
Cause it's already,
That's like 150 yards from the
I know,
water.
they get-
No one's gonna be driving, want to drive it.
they gotta get the little, the
Well,
wheels.
actually,
and you
most
go.
people have wheels for their
Yeah,
kayak.
you
They
know,
just
then
let
it
the friggin'
limits,
thing
it
go.
limits 25 people suddenly on this place, trying to like get in and out of their kayaks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a peaceful, nice little park area, we're not suddenly encouraging, 25 people. to
No,
go,
but I was wondering if we could
Well,
use
I-
this at Harvey's Beach
If you,
or paddle boats.
oh, the
Or
racks,
paddle boards.
the racks at
Yeah, because we need
Harvey's.
more parking.
Oh, that'd be great.
We think of
That'd be
everything,
great.
as always.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And right now, there's enough room for 4 cars. at
No,
this
but we
point.
might be able to put this on the side.
Right, but I mean, if we're thinking of Harvey, that's moving, but here at Boulder, there's not a lot of
Yeah.
parking.
No, there isn't, but even so, I don't think all,
Harvey's is great, and then you can go under the culvert and over back in the
Yeah.
Oyster River and all that. I think that's,
But
That's
then you
a
have
great
people
place.
dragging it on the beach during beach, there's the smallest beach in the planet already.
that's all right.
most,
Got like
most,
10 kayaks taking up the beach, that's gonna be a thing.
most paddle boarders would not want to drag it on low tide. Because they have to walk a mile. But. It's just a thought.
Well,
I mean-
we're grateful for the donation, I think it's
Yeah.
great, and we'll do our.
I think
to
there's
find a spot.
possibilities here,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know?
Gotta get that in the mill property.
Yeah,
I know.
Right.
right
Did somebody
there,
get it?
No, like, we could get that property.
Yeah.
4 kayaks.
well, we don't have, we can't build up, well, there's limitations in our property too.
And a dog park.
Right across the street.
But I like the possibilities. So how many altogether are there?
Right.
Two,
2 racks.
two 10-foot long racks or
Pardon me?
10-foot long?
I'd say they're about 8 to 10.
Okay.
You know, I never measured them, and,
All right.
you know,
guys do
I would
posters.
encourage you guys to go down,
Do some kayaks.
go down
Yeah.
to the garage, call building, take, put some eyes on it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going to do. No, I think that's great. I appreciate.
No problem.
yeah, thanks,
There's,
Bob.
there's one thing I want to bring up about Founder's Park, that I'm sure most of you are aware of, but
Yeah.
there's this nasty sign,
Yes, there is.
you know, and there's a good reason for that sign, and I think you guys know about it, but I'll say it again. And I wasn't involved in this, but there have been at least one person that is drowned further down the river. That water gets very swift. Look at the Google image that I attached right at the end of it. There's a-
Yeah,
There's a,
That's what.
the
yeah,
diamond.
that's
No,
Or
way
gentlemen.
past the diamond, you'll see the land keeps on going past the diamond.
Yep,
Yeah.
There's
it
some
does.
point where it stops.
Yep.
And there's about a 40 or 50 foot gap.
Yep.
Water goes through. And it's very deceiving, it gets very deep, very fast, and the current rips through there.
Yeah.
That's why that sign's
well, we lost someone there.
correct.
Yeah, it's
And
bad.
sad one, why anybody would be swimming when they can't, I mean, go in the water when they can't swim, but I can't attest to that, but you're right, there is but then you find out with a risk with anything with water.
I'm just bringing it up
Yeah.
to make sure it's thought about and everything else.
Oh, yeah,
Sign would have to get changed. Because, you know, don't go into the water under any circumstance. Yeah, you're putting kayak. Actually,
yeah,
Or-
no, we
Yeah.
would probably change it.
go
to
into the water.
Risk at your own, you know,
Yeah, that-
your life is at your own risk.
That was my concern, because I haven't ever kayaked around here, and it's like, are we, having people, put in it, in a scary place, and where you don't, whereas at Harvey's, you've got swimmers and boaters and lifeguards, and everybody's walking around taking pictures of sunsets, and people know, and then on the other side, you got houses all around, you see people over in that, in the marsh over there all the time kayaking. So, I just
This
feel
is
like it's-
this is a pretty good spot to
Is
kayak.
it?
Yeah,
You know, I
Okay, but,
the closer you
three
get
times
to
a
the
year. I go there
Connecticut River,
twice.
the more dangerous it gets.
yeah,
But the more you use Ragged Rock in the back, refuge, it's calm. But
Yeah.
like anything,
yeah,
you
there's
can
risks,
get a
but-
rip current because there was a lot of rain one weekend. And the water's coming down the river really fast, and people don't realize that river is treacherous,
okay, well,
so,
yeah,
but
we need to have some
we
serious
will.
kayaker feedback on that.
But thank you, appreciate that.
No problem. So,
And
any other
thank you for
questions?
your time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I don't believe we have any other discussion programs, facilities, personnel, so we'll go, excuse me?
Fran and our new business.
Yes,
Okay.
See,
so number Dave, you're up.
All right, so I'm here to discuss what you guys have already brought up earlier, which was the renovation work at Clark, the schoolhouse, Town Park, whatever you want to call it. And the impact that that is going to have on the Little League program in town. The proposal that was made for renovating that into a single softball field from a baseball and softball two fields into one was done based on a 2017 numbers study of how many kids are actually playing baseball and softball. In 2017, we had approximately 86 kids playing across the 8 teams. Since then, and I've been vice president now for 6 years at Little League, our numbers are now up to 132 kids playing 13 teams. We currently get to utilize Town Park 1 and Town Park 2, which are the baseball and softball fields, and McMurray fully. And we get to use tracks for Kavanaugh part-time. It's occupied by T-ball most of the week for practice of the game. So we have approximately 3.5 fields to use for 13 teams. Those 13 teams typically in a normal week have 2 to 3 events per week per team. Not all of those are obviously in Old Saybrook. They do travel and play out of town. They also, there's multiple teams at each level, so they can play in town quite a bit. So if you took the 2.5 events per team times 13 teams, which are current numbers, 47% growth since 2017. By the way, the town has not gained population. The actual school's gone down 3% over that time period. So we're growing faster than the town is for kids coming to the town. That, if you take that 2.5 events per team, 13 teams, you're walking slightly over 30 events that we have to schedule in a week. Approximately 10 or 13 of those are going to be away games and in the normal week. That leaves us with over 20 events we have to schedule across 3.5 fields currently. I make the schedule. It's next to impossible. There is not enough field space for our teams to practice once the season begins. And that's not great for the kids. They're not going to get enough work.
for you,
We're not permitted to use the middle school fields.
why,
One baseball field is not the right dimensions for Little
but it
League.
used to be, so they could reconfigure it.
The last time they
Let the grass grow, but they could because they did.
could potentially go back to
Yeah,
adding the 60-foot
absolutely.
bases. on
Yeah,
top of
and that would
it.
open up a whole field for you.
It would, however, they will charge us money based on our previous approaches for asking them.
But yeah. But it's a potential spot that's not being
We would
utilized.
probably have to increase our dues to the kids significantly to cover the cost of that.
But it's a potential because it's underutilized.
Do you include softball teams as well, or do you
Yes,
have
we
any?
have we have 13 teams. Softballs are our fastest growing program right now.
So
In
they
2017,
I
there was
don't
one
believe-
team, we're now up to 5, and next year we will have 6.
What about Fireman's Field?
Fireman's Field is now a soccer field, not sure if you've been over there, but they
Yeah.
destroyed it, they took down all the
They took it
fences,
all down.
they're making it a soccer field.
They're making it a soccer field?
Who's they? The fire
Yeah,
department?
Have you gone to them to ask to redo it? I
We
didn't know
had
that.
previously, and there was a falling out between Little League and Fireman Field that happened at some point before my time, 7-8 years ago. That got down there, their field was in terrible shape, it was going to need a significant amount of work to get to play, which we would have been fine with doing it. We didn't know we were going to be on this timeline and have to do that now, but once I saw that this was happening potentially the end of this year, I was going to immediately go to the fire department, and when I drove by, and I lived in the road, the fence was all out and all the posts are piled up, and I talked to one of the firemen, and he said, yes, they're making it a soccer field. We don't
It's
have,
official though.
yes, we don't have enough fields in town for all the kids that want to play T-ball, baseball, and softball.
So what's the big growth since we're having fewer kids in town? Where are these kids coming from? Are they Saybrook
They're
kids? or are
all
they?
Saybrook kids, yes.
They're all
It's-
Saybrook.
They have to reside in town or go to school here, which means St. John's or Old Saybrook Public Schools and I will tell you that there are 0 St. John's kids that don't live in Old Saybrook that play.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the big, the fascination is. It seems, I'm just surprised at that growth for baseball when there's like lacrosse is growing in so much popularity and.
I don't think
You know.
Old Saybrook is playing as much lacrosse people think.
Okay.
Old Saybrook Ticks lacrosse pulls from 7 different towns.
Yeah.
In order to make teams, and they struggle to make enough kids at most levels. My daughter plays, so I'm pretty familiar. She's the only girl on the team from Old Saybrook.
Okay, what about, I mean, I'm not trying to discourage, I am concerned how our efforts at, we're trying to make Clark Park a better park, not going in the wrong direction so I'm really understanding what we're losing there versus what we're gaining with the plans. But in terms of like, I see Westbrook as having, they're not growing by leaps and bounds or.
Sprinting, their program has
Yeah,
shrunk.
I mean, could that be where, they've got those fields over, across from the green, what's that park?
Ted Lane, this,
Yeah, Ted Lane, Ted Lane,
Ted Lane.
I mean, is that a possibility?
For us to use in other towns,
Mhm.
I will say not likely. We burn a lot of those bridges by not allowing even when. In the years past, Old Saybrook has had to combine with Westbrook or DRC for different teams. Old Saybrook would not allow those teams to practice on Old Saybrook fields. Don't know. Can't answer that question, but my daughter was one of those teams. I'll tell you, when we had to combine and they played out of town, half of those kids that played for another town did not come back. They don't return to play if they're not playing with their friends. So. it's
No,
great
I'm
now.
not trying to,
No,
yeah,
I
I don't mean that
understand.
at all.
What I'm saying is, with the way the fields are going, we're gonna lose a full field that we have 100% access and control over during the season.
Mhm.
That's gonna force us to not be able to take all the kids off play.
Where is Town Park two?
Right, but we.
Town Park 2 is the
It's
softball
softball
field in the
Okay,
back
okay,
corner.
okay, so
Town
it
Park
is
wants
just,
the front
okay,
back part.
so it's, okay. And but we're expanding that,
You're taking away Town Park
Park one,
1
yeah.
and moving Town Park 2 towards the basketball court, going the
Yep.
other direction,
yep.
which you now no longer
So
have.
there's no baseball club.
There's no
right
baseball
now,
field plan.
correct.
In the plan
In
that
the
we
plan.
approved, there's the. no.
Is there a
Because
dimensional
remember, it
difference
overlaps
between
with your
what we have planned
That is-
in the
Could be.
southeast
It's right
corner?
next to it.
In other words, we have an adult softball field plan there. Is there something that we could potentially do so that baseball and adult softball could share that field?
They can, but that wouldn't gain us a field, because we currently have 5 softball teams that utilize that field 5 nights a week between them, and
Let's see.
they can't put 2 teams on the same field.
That was just-
Right now, they
No, but
both
we could,
fields.
there could be there would have to be a give and take, I mean. That,
If there were two-
softball doesn't dominate it,
If there were 2 fields that existed there,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
but
we could
that's
do
not
that.
the plan.
No,
Right.
there's only one.
So to solve this immediate issue, I guess, I really think that was lined to do it for in the past. It was used before, and it's just,
Softball.
yeah, it's sitting there dormant. It's right behind Park and Rec where you have
It's
kids
not,
that can
it's
come.
not dormant. They are there my son's on the middle school.
Right, but
they
I
are
mean,
there every day.
you could have more than, you know what I mean? Your club could use it potentially.
Yes.
Yes, which would be great because you have access to Park and Rec, bathrooms,
If-
playground,
If
kids.
the Board of Ed was willing to change the dimensions of the field, rip up grass, put in new clay. Change the
Yeah, things
pitcher's
have to
mount
be
to be able
done.
to keep both distances. It's not an insignificant undertaking. And then we are also, and I'm assuming they're gonna wanna try to recoup some of that money
Yeah.
from our team. That's what means we're gonna have to probably increase dues to a whole lot of kids.
How late does your season go?
It starts in April 1st and goes until then, July, depending upon fall stars and stuff like that. Most teams and fields, we can get by with the fields that you're planning from mid-June on. We only need 2 or 3 fields at that point, but we can offset those practices, okay?
From mid.
So it's really the spring that's the problem.
From April 1st through school being out in June 15th or whatever it
And,
is,
yeah, so middle school's using that,
the entire time.
Yeah, as I recall from my Little League days, you guys sort of taper off when school
But you're gonna have
gets
school-
out for the
School
summer
ends,
too,
then
because everybody goes on vacation.
All
and
stars begins.
All stars,
you
right?
don't have
And In years past, Old Saybrook has not been very successful in All-Stars, so they've shied away from it.
Okay.
In the 6 years that I've been here, we've lost in the district championship twice for my level. Both years, which means we're very competitive across the district now. And that's also one of the things that's increasing some of our kids wanting to play. Connor Lane definitely helped the situation itself. You know, Connecticut Gatorade Player of the Year, being in town, now knowing UConn. These are all things that are adding to it. Softball was a dying sport in our town. Our high school's combined with Westbrook. Right now, I have enough girls that our middle school probably next year is going to start thinking about not taking all the sixth graders that they've been in.
Middle school. Yeah.
Well, I've seen Nancy's the only one that was smart enough to bring her,
Okay, right.
strategic plan with
Yeah.
her, but, looking at that, Nancy, is there, do you think there's a potential for putting up some sort of, temporary field with, you know, like the temporary fencing like they do at the high school now, at the opposite corner of the town park, call it one softball field
Yeah,
there?
I mean,
There's plenty of room in it. I mean, we know the
It's
dimensions.
like, yeah. But the problem is the infield, softballs with dirt.
Yeah, well, that was the, reason that we,
Little League doesn't care about playing.
They don't care about dirt
No,
and,
okay.
so it just
You
matters
have to put
for
a
you.
portable mound out there, which is fine. That's
Okay.
something we're
So for
willing to
you, it
do.
doesn't matter that you haven't have a grass.
No.
yeah, we sort of set aside that area to be a soccer or lacrosse field, so there
Yeah.
would be no dirt back there, but
So I think you could put a portable for purposes of, but then if we're using that field the summer for the co-ed softball league. And you have fencing up there, that's a problem.
I think we have to ask Ray.
Yeah.
When does Sweet Lake softball begin?
I actually, to your point, I think, yeah, towards the time it gets out, that's when the adult softball picks up, so you guys are sort of,
Yeah,
crossing
we
with
don't
the
need
exception of
all the
All-Stars.
fields at that point. We
Yeah,
can
right.
Make do with what we are
Yeah, they
proposing.
could be available to you for practice use. But maybe game.
No, I think once the adult softball begins, they want us off the field by 5.
Games are at 6.
Yeah, it's,
so if most of the
So,
game,
most
most of the
people
regular
try-
season games have ended, you could play All-Stars at McMurray?
we would be practicing at McMurray and Trask. We would use both of those fields for practice. We are now getting to the point where softball all-stars is definitely a potential, so that would be at the softball.
Yeah, I sympathize with your point, because when we sort of got in on the ground floor of this and did a lot of the planning work and overviews, we were using those 2017 numbers. I can remember there was a real dip in the number of kids that were both playing baseball and softball, and it sounds, which is good that you came today, because it makes us aware of what the future is gonna look like, or could potentially look like for,
Yeah, we're Like I
it sounds a lot better than it was.
We're growing at a ridiculous rate. In my 6 years, I wasn't expecting this kind of growth. We're, yeah. It's very, very big.
Good.
The only thing, and I'm not coming unprepared for some possibilities, Maple Ave is an underutilized field during the baseball season. There's no reason why that couldn't be a T-ball field. I'm pretty sure we could make that into a T-ball field, freeing up Trask for Little League to use all week long, every day. That would definitely get us a lot closer, to not having to worry about the loss of the field.
My son was little, we used that field for his T-ball game.
Yeah.
Because I live right down the road, we used to walk there for his little T-ball games.
It's
Yeah.
terrible for parking.
Yeah.
It's
with Maples.
not
So
great.
it
for
has been
parking.
used.
It has been
We know
used.
it can-
Years ago.
And the
That
T-ball,
was T-ball long.
you just put a little portable, little bases and it's fun, because it's, you don't, but the kids don't.
And that's just kindergarten, right?
It's kindergarten, yeah,
Yeah.
kindergarten and pre-K.
Well, I
Maybe
think
if
this is,
it's over it.
Yeah, we talked to Ray and see. if
yeah,
we can come up
we
with
need
any-
to
It's a
speak to Ray on this, because he's more of the use of the fields and how to plan them and how to program, because, we have a responsibility to our own programs as well as we have the historic symbiotic relationship with the Little League for years.
We are one of the
Um,
oldest little leagues in the state. We just had our 75th anniversary last year.
So we don't want to ruin that, but we also know that when we made our strategic plan, despite your numbers, it really doesn't set with the numbers of the school system. which we see reflected in our programming here. So it is an eye opener to say the least. But definitely, I would suggest to have a big discussion with Ray. Because he's the one that knows his fields and how they're gonna be programmed and how they're gonna be used. Your suggestion of Maple Avenue, because we now have irrigation on it. It doesn't die out in the middle of summer like it used to, so that might be a better use. Renegotiating, but there's nothing here tonight that we can do for you.
I wanted to
But
make
keep
sure,
us informed
Yeah, yeah,
on what we're doing, because this is, we're very much interested in how this plays out and how we can work with this.
and I didn't realize that baseball was growing. I
Well, mostly it's softball, right?
both
Well,
are growing.
didn't realize
Little League
Little
and
League was growing.
softball is a good amount of the growth since that
Yeah.
2017.
Okay. So, I mean, Susan, can you meet with Ray
Yeah.
and discuss it? Because the next meeting's the 14th, and that's when we're doing the bocce grand opening.
So Ray is aware of the situation, but I want to come here and make sure that it was more public than just one person.
Yep.
So he's well aware of it, but that doesn't solve our problem.
No, but I think we can, you know, I mean, we haven't, I don't know when we're gonna be breaking ground.
Yeah,
Park,
I
so
mean-
right now, you know, you got the field all summer.
Yeah, this year I'm not worried
yeah.
about. I'm also done this
So-
year, so I have no vested interest in next year.
Which is great,
but-
which is great
that's-
that,
I-
you know, that's even better that you come in tonight.
Are you currently using both Town Park 1 and 2?
Yes. Every night of the week, 2
And even then,
practices,
it's all backed up, right?
Yeah,
I guess losing Fireman's Field was probably a big,
We've never had firemen since my time here.
I guess I'm older than that, so.
yeah,
So,
We had the same kind of problems because everybody wants to practice and you got softball and baseball fighting except for McMurray, which is designated for baseball all the time.
Yes. All three at McMurray, Trask, and Town Park 1 are always baseball.
what about the high school softball field?
Yeah.
Is there
Well, that's a
any
possibility.
weird, is that sized wrong? Like
No.
that?
No,
No,
it's
two
just
are both
the
the
same.
same.
Because they merged. And so then they split the season now, so some of the time they're in Westbrook and some of the time they have something in Saybrook, so the,
So that,
so Saybrook's field would be. I don't know when they would utilize it in the beginning of the season or the second half of the season.
Yeah, the softball fields would help our softball programs,
okay,
but we're good with one field for softball right now.
okay. So let me get this straight. Baseball games can be played on a softball field.
With a portable mound that would not be, the high school probably wouldn't want there. I'm not sure if the middle school would even allow, but we have space here that we can wheel it out.
Throw it in and
Yeah,
throw it
yeah.
out.
It's definitely an in and out situation.
Yeah.
They used to do that around Top Park 2, as I recall, when
Right.
Top Park 2 was a designated softball field.
Still,
Or maybe still.
But you're playing baseball and softball on that field.
not this year. We don't have softball fully
Softball
utilized
is-
by itself. Full teams, 5 teams fully utilized the field. And 3 of those teams are lower level teams that don't play nearly as much as the older kids.
sure,
So
thank
maybe
you.
you could have a talk and then.
Yeah, I'll
figure
I'll
out-
talk to Ray
Play
and
softball, we
we'll
played
do
with
that.
Ray.
Yeah, where we.
Yeah, and that's no,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah. well,
So,
Yeah, what's available, but yeah.
thank you, I appreciate you
Yeah, thank
updating
you.
us on that.
Right.
All right. Moving along, we don't have all parts review. Oh, we do, I'm sorry. I wanna put it at the table.
Or new business?
On over.
You're at my desk and I couldn't even see you on the screen.
Last time I was here, you had me sit on the side.
Yeah, we got an extra table or something. Yeah, this is. a
Well,
whole
we
different
did because we had 2
configuration.
meetings.
Where's the pizza?
Yeah,
We're
Ray.
gonna have pizza?
I said, right, you're gonna get pizza box in the middle.
That'd be so good.
That would be
Right,
so
I
good
know.
right now. Oh, I'm so hungry.
Stop now.
We can take a vote to do it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say no executive session without food.
Yeah, yeah, we're meeting at 5:30. They gotta bring sandwiches or pizza.
Andrew, I apologize, I'm looking here and I literally could not see you behind me.
You know, from the conservation.
Thank you. And for the record, your name?
Jones.
Joe Russo, thank you. We'll put you on there.
Joe, how do you spell this?
Right, that. So I think Larry. is- But he quit our.
He's the conservation liaison for Park and Rec.
Right.
So thank you. I apologize.
No problem.
I kept looking up and I didn't see you and I said, oh, you must have left. Okay. All right, so I don't think we have anything more to say about this strategic plan. Anything except for Main Street,
Email was in here from
oh,
Dr. Jameson.
okay, you know, did I miss that?
Saturday, April 5th.
Did I miss that?
Subsurface investigation.
Oh, this is
Got it. So no, that's the update.
so no real update.
Okay.
We paid them.
45
Whatever. All right.
We're working on a detailed layout plan.
Yeah. Did they throw in a baseball field?
Little league.
All right, Main Street Park discussion. I believe next month we're gonna have a ribbon cutting.
We have food there.
Yeah, so it's gonna be,
Let's make sure we have it. That would
It'd
be
be
May
like-
14th.
Like greener around here.
14.
Are we gonna be at 6:30 there?
Do we say 6:30 or do we say earlier?
I think we said earlier.
Okay with me.
May 14th is the date.
No,
I have
yes,
5:30 on my schedule.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Oh, 5:30 work.
I have
As long as
5:30
there's
too.
Yeah.
Okay, so reminder to everyone.
Yes, the minutes from last month. Possible Saturday or 5:30 during the week, and then, we picked May the 14th for a rain date of the 15th for the cutting.
All right,
So if May the 14th is a good day, it was scheduled for 5:30.
all right.
Your meeting. You change it.
Pardon? Meeting place?
We're just
We're gonna
going there
meet
first
at
for
the,
ribbon cutting,
green.
and then we're coming.
Oh, that's right.
We're gonna do our
Yeah. Yes, Nancy has challenged Carl to the hockey match.
Pickleball, I wanna see that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
This'll be no matter what.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Reserve update, well, we have talked to the CMC meeting, which is the Conservation Commission. With between Carl and Will Fox. Fox. Oh my gosh, my hip brain is dead with this stupid
Fox.
cold. Thank you.
Mhm.
And they're updating, they have not agreed upon the recreation forest management plan. And we are working with the DEEP Trails woman to create a trail plan now that we're in the midst of vernal pool season and amphibians running around amok. We are trying to make sure that certain areas that are very sensitive to the vernal pools are blocked off from bike use. So we're working on that. We have volunteers from DEEP, Friends of DEEP, our biking community, and just Friends of the Preserve that are going out and kind of rushing up the entrances to these errant trails. And they have finished their plotting the boundaries with little plaques that say the preserve on them, so everyone knows where the boundary is for the preserve. And that's the only update I have for you right now. I don't believe we have any other business regarding programs, facilities, and personnel. As far as the chairman's report. Not much, I didn't have to go to many meetings, so I don't have much to say. We don't have a director, so we don't have a director's report. Oh my God, am I going to make this meeting short? No liaison report? Anything you'd like to say?
I've been talking to Ray, we're getting volunteers for the town park cleaning up.
Okay.
Familiar with that?
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you guys are coordinating. But Ray asked me to co-lead with Kathy Connolly.
All right,
Yeah, and so we're still looking for volunteers. He wants to get up to about 10 people, 10 to 12. And he's got all the tools and the logs and everything. We just can't find a dry weekend. It's not gonna happen this weekend. But we're trying to do it. I think supposed to be Egg so that
yeah,
this week.
well, whatever was planned this weekend is not happening.
No,
Oh, the Easter egg hunt.
Easter, yeah, but it's gonna
They
be,
usually do the Good Friday, that's on Friday, the rock hunt.
Yeah, the rock hunt.
yeah, whatever, but it's working Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday this weekend. So it'll probably happen next Saturday in the morning for the volunteers.
The day before Easter,
Kidding me?
Yeah,
which might be fun, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's the
think
day
that's
before.
probably,
But-
we're only talking the morning.
Would
Yeah.
it be good to go after the rock hunt in case there's,
Oh, you're gonna move the rock? Huh?
no, well,
No.
the rock hunt's always on Good Friday.
yeah,
So if you do it the next day,
Oh, yeah,
it's a good day to be in there.
Yeah, well,
I
just
could, I
like
could
so-
probably do,
we're looking for volunteers.
I
that's
cannot
all.
do it. that
okay,
It starts, we wanna start going and then but assemble like 15 people. And just, rate's gotta go on that. Where we want, and we're just trimming back all the basic stuff, roll them off the side. Just working our way up about 2 years.
okay,
So if you know anybody interested,
we'll put the call out.
Yep.
We can do
but
that.
again, it's not probably happening this week. It's supposed to happen last week.
Yeah,
It just keeps getting moved back. We get rain. every
welcome
week.
to spring.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, and you know that rain, he's really keeping that good.
Yeah. All right. But it's probably gonna be next Saturday.
And then the only other thing we have is of course, the fair is gonna be, Saturday after that, the 26th of the fair. At the school. We're gonna have all these different organizations, so I don't know if you've gotten the flyer out, but it's out, I'll make sure. Chris Kilco sends you guys.
Is it on Saturday that this is gonna happen?
Saturday, yeah.
At the
Yeah,
middle
2
school?
weeks.
Okay.
26, and that starts at 10 also, and that goes to 1. But there'll be speakers and lots of tables. They have all, there's about 15 organizations. Master Gardener,
Have you guys done this before?
I've been here on that, so I don't think it did last year, but.
What's the title of the fair? Sorry,
Um,
like what is,
Far enough,
it's an environment, thank you.
but again, I can't get. Guys. Fire, that's all. They just finished it. They're all essentially. You'll see it being announced from here on. So, it's just tables. It's gonna be in the gymnasium, how you vote.
Yeah.
They'll have an entrance right there and be a series of tables and then a dedicated to talks. But basically, most of the action will be right. That's our big. For our.
Doing anything special for Earth Day?
That is.
That's right around
That is your Earth Day thing,
That is
okay?
our thing, yeah. Exactly. And there is something they announced. There's a week activity.
I think I did see that environmental fair advertised somewhere, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably probably on the school.
You're 2025. This is.
Good.
Like you said, there'll be ads here, right, it's starting. Something not related, that's what there's some other event going on. It's gonna encompass around the 22nd.
The chamber is doing something for 2 days.
Yeah.
Volunteers clean up around the walk and everything. Oh, thank you. Anything else?
No, I mean, I don't know how deep you guys get in our stuff, but you know, we have the power and meter thing that goes down. Sorry, so. There's some money that was secured, we're starting to do, I think it's really now, inventory of trees.
Yeah.
Town. There's a proposal going from, no, well, that's the west.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting a big proposal to do all the trees. But I think that happens this year. So the plan things. I work also with that. Yes, I guess. If you remember, but I like this. They were close to the same as well. So. That, you know. Say the beaches and climate change. See all the lights, which by the way, surprisingly, very well. Yeah, so that's.
Well, having nothing else, take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, Nancy makes it. Dave seconds it. All in favor?
All in
Oh,
favor.
wow, what am I new? Wow.